Welcome to the Bearded Bro Show podcast. I have a very special guest today, and his name is Aaron Dewyer. Introduce yourself, Aaron.
Hi guys, I'm Aaron Dewyer. I am an illustrator and graphic artist. I have my own small company called Jabberjaw Studio Productions. I do a lot of comic book art, a lot of prints. I'm just trying to get my name out there, and I thoroughly enjoy doing fan art in the Godzilla fandom. It's like one of my favorite things to do, honestly.
Bro, you can't say, I'm trying to get my name out there. Your name is out there.
Yeah.
You cannot say that you're trying, because if D-Man 1954 is putting your art in his videos and also talking to you on Twitter sometimes, because I remember whenever you... I forgot how it went down, but the King Ghidorah with the castle thing, and then he was like kept talking about it and like, hey, like your version. He literally called you out like your version would be amazing.
I still have to finish that one. I've been like trying to finish inking that for the longest time, and then I want to color it, but like that's just one of those like I'll hit a piece every once in a while where I like hit it strong, and then it just becomes like I'm like, how do I go about finishing this? But yeah, and I mean, this whole year for me artistically has been not like dead in the water. I'm still working on a lot of projects. It's just I haven't like been posting regularly, which I should get back on. But it's just like trying to find the time in the day where I'm like, okay, I need to finish this one and then post this tomorrow, and then it's. I mean, I'll get back on a schedule, but it's just kind of, and I feel like everyone is just kind of in that cycle right now where they're just like, you know what, I'll post when I have something completed.
Yeah, man, it's been a crazy time, and like, it's like even down, like I was telling Aaron before we started recording, you know, like Dustin got COVID-19 and he had to recover from that, and there was like a little bit of time where he couldn't record for a couple weeks because he just felt that bad. And plus he has so much other things going on. He's got his own Minecraft channel, he's got a Twitch channel. Like, I don't know how the man does it, but my co-host is like, he's one of the he puts out content. But it's it's definitely been a crazy time. And I was telling Aaron too, like, because you do like conventions, like you're literally like you'll like sell your stuff at conventions.
Oh yeah. I'll go and I'll set up at like a show, and I'll get I'll have all my prints ready and everything.
And guys, just to let you know, if you're watching on the YouTube version of this podcast, his link will be in the description for his Twitter and stuff like that. Definitely give him a follow. Like, I love this dude's art and you know, I know it's because I'm biased because he draws things that I like, being Godzilla stuff, Star Wars stuff. I even saw your print like Batman related the other day, and it's like everything. That's how me and Aaron always been able to relate. Is a lot of the same stuff we really, really enjoy.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, that Batman one's cool. I still have the ink saved from that. I might turn that into a full-on Batman print, like him under the streetlight, like standing in the snow.
Do you bleed? You will. I can't even do a Batman voice.
I'm telling you, after rewatching the Ultimate Edition, I liked that movie. It wasn't bad.
Yeah, I actually showed a couple friends that movie. I was like, like they didn't really care for the regular version. I'm like, no, watch the Ultimate Edition though. It just has more to it, more Superman, more like this and that, and like it just, I don't know, it's just the better version. And obviously, I can only sit and wait. And the same feeling I have for the longer cut of Suicide Squad. It's just better.
Oh, yeah.
Like, a lot of people give Suicide Squad a lot of hate, and it's like, if you just, like, I know that people don't want to buy movies they don't like, and I don't blame them. It takes, like, time to actually go out of your way to buy the Blu-ray and be like, okay, I'm going to watch this other edition to something, like a 3-hour version, but, which I think Batman vs. Superman was, like, the ultimate was, I think it was, like, 3 hours, wasn't it?
Yeah, I picked it up for $5 at Walmart in the Blu-ray bin. So right. I was like, $5? I was like, I'll get that.
Yeah, I still really like that movie. Do I like Lex Luthor? And that, not really, but that's a whole other thing. But,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, he did an okay job. Like, whenever people say, like, Jesse should have played the Joker, I'm like, I'm not sure if he could play the Joker. He has the makings of a good Lex. He just needed to, the way that he executed it could have been better. And the other thing I noticed was when he is hooked up to the in the Genesis chamber and he's looking at like the hologram that they created of Steppenwolf. And then like I watched that and then I'm thinking about Justice League and I'm like, why did they change the design so drastically? And like
Yeah, I know.
I know Steppenwolf has like a human like face and all that, and I'm like, I get like I get why they designed him like that for the movie, but like I kind of like Snyder's design better. He's more alien. Like I like it. Like he has almost like a
Yeah.
xenomorph head, and I just think that's cooler. It's something that's never been done, and I'm all for like when a comic book creator twists a design of a well-known character, and I'm like, no, like I respect you trying to take a leap of faith with what you designed because you think it looks cool, and to a lot of people it does. And I mean, like it's just one of those things where I'm like, hey, I definitely respect the change because it's different than what I am used to, and I like that. I don't. I'm one of those people who like if I see something and it's the same over and over and over, I'm like, well, it's just the same thing. I like to see the change up. I like to see someone else's vision of a character. Like that's the
Yeah, it's
stuff I
like, why do
love
you
to
think,
see.
all through these decades, Godzilla's had so many different looks? It's because they're
Yeah,
trying something new with it every single time. Sometimes even from movie to movie in the same like timeline universe, or like the sequel is like, I mean, look at like freaking I almost called it 89. I was like, wait a second, no. 84/85, and then look at 89's design. Like, he comes out of the volcano like a completely different Godzilla, which I prefer that Godzilla more than 85, but I respect 85's look, but it just kind of, just a little bit derpier is my only issue with it, but I definitely like the other designs. And this is stuff that like a lot of people just don't pay attention to. They go into movie to movie, and like me and Aaron are the only like type of people that are gonna like, okay, details, man. Like I pay attention so much to details, it's unreal.
oh yeah, yeah.
Um,
It's like I was gonna say something about the Godzilla 85. I love Godzilla 85, but the reason why I love the Godzilla movies and the designs is because he almost has a natural evolution as he goes. He becomes like they change the fin placement, and ultimately it's to sell merchandise. I mean, you're not going to want to sell the same Godzilla toy
right.
for 30 plus years. But I mean, ultimately, it's like sell the merchandise, but also you have that feeling that this is an animal that adapts to its environment and it can change just to suit its needs, and that's what makes him a real threat. Is it's like, oh well, you really can't do much to stop him because he'll just evolve.
That's why I always loved the idea of like, obviously Michael Dougherty for Godzilla King of the Monsters that just came out. Like, and if you guys haven't seen that movie, like, if you're not really a monster fan, like, you might not really be able to get into it. But I know some people that actually like watch King of the Monsters, and it's like one of their first Godzilla movies, and they actually found enjoyment in it. But like the dorsal fin change and his height change is something that's like, okay, I always I always wanted to see like 2014 design of Godzilla. I was like, okay, he looks cool, and I like the bulkiness of him. I love the bigger arms, and that he's able to grab onto stuff. And everyone complained about elephant feet, and I never complained about it because I thought it was kind of like it made sense with it. Like it just, I don't know, but and then 2019 dorsal fins change, and like he just gets even taller, and I'm just like, it's a cool, like, it's for the fans, because remember when we saw that atomic breath into the sky image, and you're just like, oh my god, it's like his fins are so much bigger now, and he just looks so like powerful now, and it's like that's what I always wanted to see. I'm not saying 2014's wasn't good, but I just remember thinking, man, I kind of wish he just had bigger fins and like stuff like that. And then Doherty was like, no, I got you,
Yeah,
and like made it like one of my favorite. I still go back and forth on like if literally Monster vs. Godzilla is my favorite look or not. I don't know. It's really hard because of all the nostalgic old school movies, but I just really love his design of how huge he is and how like you can tell that he's like a freaking tank. And that's what Godzilla is for me, because me and Aaron have watched the movies all through childhood just watching him destroy buildings and do all that. And then, they kind of have this change where he's like kind of more of an anti-hero and the protector, kind of the protector of Earth, quote unquote, in a way. And like, it's like such an organic change where it makes sense that he's an animal that would like grow, or like his fins would change and stuff like that. It isn't, it's a new design for a new movie, obviously. That's why they're doing it. Like, they're trying to make it more like the older look, sort of, just changing it because it's a new director, so he has opportunity to like, what can we do to tweak his design? And they made him amazing, and like even down to like the dorsal fins, like that middle one sort of shaped like 54's middle fin or whatever.
Oh yeah. The
That little
three,
detail, I was
think,
like, okay, we got ourselves a director for this MonsterVerse, because he paid attention to even way back to the original movie. So it was so cool to see like an organic change, but it's like obviously for the fans. It's like, here's the Godzilla you guys have probably been wanting to see, but they didn't change it like, oh, he just looks different. Like, there's a reason. Plus we have like a comic in between or whatever that's canon, so that like talks about how it changes.
Oh,
and so,
yeah. How he like gets his fins blown off whenever he does the atomic blast, or it was like some kind of nuclear pulse that he did without like the assist of Mothra, and it ended up destroying his dorsal fins, so that when they grew back, they had more of like a mangled shape, and they grew more outward than upward, and then which I just think is, I think it looks awesome. Like all the figures that I have of that Godzilla, I'm like, okay, this is going to go down in history as like one of the best designs ever.
Oh yeah, for sure. Aaron is now a podcaster, in a sense. Talk a little bit about the Geek Tavern podcast. I know, like, I told Aaron before we started recording, I'm like, I have, like, no detail about this, really, how this came about. I've just been listening here and there. So, just indulge in how that came about.
Sure. So, like, I think it was around December of last year, one of my buddies, his coworker, he's come to see movies with us all the time. His name's Mike Bundy. He asked both of us, like around December, he's like, I'm trying to get my YouTube channel and podcast back up, because the original group, they just kind of split off, do their own thing, and he wanted to get that rolling again. So we go watch movies all the time at the theater. So he's like, you guys would be perfect to come in and do this with me. So we're like, yeah, why not? So, like, we went in and we did, like, at the beginning of the year, we looked at our top 10 favorite movies of the last decade. We looked at Oscar nominees, favorite movies of last year. And then we did a whole show where we ranked our favorite Star Wars movies from 11 to number 1. And then we did a couple others where we talked about like Jedi Fallen Order. Basically, we go like, we've been more focused on movies right now because there's really no other entertainment news to talk about. So we've just been trying to do that. But our primary thing is we review movies, new movies. And then since there really aren't any new movies coming out, what we do is each of us takes a turn recommending a movie. It can be a movie that we've seen 1,000 times, or it could be a movie that we want to watch but we've never watched. Like our last podcast that we did was the Conan Complete Quest, Conan the Barbarian and Conan the Destroyer, which was my recommendation. And those are two movies that I had never seen before that point. So, I mean, we get together and then we discuss it. We give a little bit of background on, the franchise or whatever, the origins of it, and then we get into the discussion. We talk about the movie in detail, and then we go over what we liked, what we didn't like. At the end, we give our rating on it. It's a ton of fun. I really enjoy just sitting around. We meet up and record a session, and we just have a ton of fun. It's all like nothing is scripted at all. We just sit there and we just go for it. Just have a grand old discussion of it.
Yeah, that's kind of how me and Dustin wanted to like approach this podcast. Is for some of you that don't know, some of you are new listeners and stuff. I had a podcast that Aaron was actually on, one or two. I think we did two, but then only one made the cut because we did a King of the Monsters review
Oh
on
yeah,
the
yeah.
Trap Talks show on my channel, and Dustin approached me and like he had been on my show so many times. Like first time I recorded with him was like that was amazing because we just kept the conversation going, and you know it really you really have to have that mutual, like, some things that you like or whatever, or just, like, a similar person. And the reason for the Bearded Bro Show podcast, like, the title is because me and Dustin look very, very similar. And we've joked around about it so many times that we're just, like, twins that were separated at birth or something. Because we have so many things. We have our differences, because obviously we're two different people, but there's so many things about us that are the same. And yeah, it just kind of went from there because he approached me like, hey, like, I would love to start a podcast channel with you because we're just having so much fun doing that. And then he was like, and I can come on your show sometimes. And I'm like, no, if I'm going to change to a new podcast, I'm not going to have the time to run two podcasts. So I'll just put everything into like a new channel. So, and it made sense because my channel's just not really like made for that kind of thing. But at the same time, like, people that know me know, like, I'm a nerd. I like a lot of stuff, and I love to talk about it. So, and it's the reason that I was able to follow Aaron on Twitter and then get some of his art because, like, I love Godzilla. He loves the same stuff that I do, a lot of the same stuff that I do, and he, like, I don't know how I found you, but I just remember seeing your art, and I was just like, yep, I'm gonna message this guy.
Yeah,
But
I remember it was on Twitter. Yeah,
do what?
it was on Twitter, I think.
Yeah, it
Because I
definitely
had
was.
posted.
I don't know if I saw. It might have been your, the King of the Monsters one, or I might have seen the Godzilla vs Kong one first. I don't know, but like I said earlier, guys, check out his art in the description below, and also his Geek Tavern podcast. Like, at good stuff over there because I honestly wish me and Dustin reviewed more movies and stuff. It's just like the time and all of that. I've kind of brought that a little bit to the channel, but it's just kind of like, I don't know. It's hard to nail down recording time too, especially in this time, and it's a whole thing. But yeah, like, it's just like me and him can just talk about stuff, and when we realize, you know what, we can like have just conversations like just two guys just being open and everything and record it. That's like literally all it is, even though we both have expensive mics and stuff like that, and we're actually going out of our way to like have good production, but we just knew like it's just two guys having a good chat, and we'll talk about whatever. Like we don't go into politics or anything like that, but like that's the same thing that I'm getting the vibe from Geek Tavern, which is just like you guys are literally just like having a reason to sit around and just have a good time talking about stuff. And
Yeah.
I think there's something really cool at this day and age of people just having stuff like that. Like podcasting has gotten so like big now just because it's just literally conversation. Like it just, no matter what it's about, it's kind of amazing to just sit and like listen to other people talk about stuff sometimes. Like it can be very engaging when you're driving, when you're whatever. There's a couple YouTube podcasts that I'll literally sit and watch for an hour or like do something else in the background or whatever. And it's just, I'm glad that you're getting into podcasting because I feel like you and your friends definitely have that whole like thing going on where there's going to be conversation. Like there's not going to be a silent moment.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna thrive.
Oh, and it's a ton of fun. I really enjoy it. Like every time they're like, "Hey, what day are we recording?" Like if it's a Friday or something, I'm like, I'm getting off work and I can't wait to go record.
Right. So recently, and I've mainly seen it dropped from like Twitter and D-Man1954. That Godzilla vs Kong image that dropped, which it's those of you that don't know, like Godzilla vs Kong, like that's just something that's like needed to like come out like for like years and years. I was talking to Aaron on Messenger about it yesterday, like how like me and him are fans of kaiju films, and we have been waiting for this movie for years, and now it's like it just keeps teasing us because they keep pushing it back, pushing it back. Thank you, COVID. Love you so much.
Yeah.
But and but anyway, we finally got an image, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this was like on the back of one of the toys, right? And then people started getting like HD images of it, because I know at first wasn't it like a low res, just image of a back of a box or something?
Yes, it was on the Playmates, on all the Playmates toys. It's the same image, and it's Kong getting ready to right hook Godzilla. And it was somebody got one of the toys. I'm guessing that they were an influencer who were sent a copy of one of the toys to, review or something. And they got it, and they had the low res image on the back, and everyone went ballistic. And then I think, who was it? I can't remember. I think it was C Guns on Twitter, Christian Gonzalez. He had an HD image, which then I saved and then reposted to Instagram with his Twitter handle and everything. And like, I don't know how many. I'd have to look, but I think I was one of the first people to share that on Instagram.
Nice.
I could be mistaken, but I think I was, because then a lot
I
of
wouldn't
other
be
people
surprised,
shared
bro.
it.
You're really quick on all that.
Oh, like as soon as I saw that, I was like, "Yep, this has to go up." Let me see. Let me
You're
see.
like, it's already on the internet. I'll take it.
Oh yeah, it has 1,226 likes on Instagram. So I had that
Lord,
up
man.
like right at the very get go, and I was like, okay, yeah, this needs to go up right now because people need to see this HD image. And then I think a lot of other people shared it around and everything, and like Kaiju News Outlet and all those guys shared it. But I mean, like, I was, as soon as I saw that, I was like, okay, I'm hyped. Like, I get it, it's a promotional image and everything, but I'm hyped. And then I kept
Oh
hearing
yeah,
about the
for sure.
delays, and I was just talking to D Man 1954 on Twitter a little bit ago, um, where he was talking about the delays again, and I was like, no, I was like, I agree, I'm fine with waiting a little bit longer. I was like, but I can empathize with the fans who want it, because this year, let's face it, has been such crap that we kind of just want some entertainment. And like part of me, just a part of me, would be all right if they were just like, hey, we're gonna put it on demand if anyone wants to watch it. Because I'd jump right at that. And
Oh
I,
yeah, of course we'd be watching it for like day one.
yeah.
Like it'd be a Godzilla community hype train all around the community. Like
Oh
it'd be
yeah.
like, okay, well we're not getting in theaters, but you know what? It's a bad time right now, and
We need
like you know
this.
how fast I'd be subscribing to HBO Max if they did it there. You know how freaking fast that cuz I don't have that, and like I've always thought that like whatever streaming service they put Godzilla versus Kong on, I am there, bro. Like I'm not
Yep.
going to miss out. And so, but I still hold on to that hope, a new hope,
Yeah.
that it'll somehow come out in theaters. Like, I don't know. Like, it's like a movie that I've been waiting that long for. And and I know that it's not fair to be like, well, the time we're in, you got to adjust certain things. And it just like, I would be a little disappointed to watch it at home first, but at the same time, I'm watching Godzilla vs. Kong. So
Yeah.
it's like, I wouldn't care. I would just soak it in, but I really would love that theater experience for that movie, because that's always how I imagined seeing it. Was like, I'm going to watch Godzilla vs. Kong on the biggest screen I can see, freaking HD with great sound, just in a popcorn bucket in my hands. Like, that's just like, I don't know, that's the dream, but I know some dreams just die. No, I'm kidding. But like, we gotta adjust for the time that we're in, and it's a thing. But I don't know, it's just funny because I'm like Warner Brothers, they don't have like a, I guess it would be HBO. Oh, what are they talking about putting it on? I thought I saw something about HBO.
Yeah, that would probably be where they do it. Would be putting it on
Yeah, and
HBO.
I need to get a subscription anyway because of the Snyder Cut, by the way. I
Oh
gotta get a
yeah.
subscription for that.
I was gonna bring up something about Godzilla versus Kong. Oh, like with the delays and everything. I know everyone is, well, some people are like up in arms about the delays, and I'm like, yeah, but when you think about it, It's only been a little over a year since King of the Monsters came out.
And it's only more time for them to work on it, make it really good.
Yeah. So like I'm thinking about it and I'm like, okay, we waited 5 years for King of the Monsters. Like we can wait a little bit longer. I'm sure of that. But like at the same time, part of me is like, okay, but they were supposed to have it out in March, and there was never a teaser. There was never any marketing for that movie in the. There was never any marketing for that done, and there was like absolutely nothing going on. And I was like, okay, this has to be like they must have not believed in it enough to do marketing at that point, and they were just like, hey, we got to push this back. And that's kind of disappointing, but at the same time I'm like, okay, well, they obviously watched it and they're like, hey, this has got to be fixed, this has to be rewritten, this has to be reshot and all that. And I'm like, yeah, I'm like, I get that, but then they're talking about, hey, November, but still no teaser, no poster, no promotional image, no nothing. And then we get to, like, if we don't have a teaser or something before November, I'll kind of be disappointed, because that just tells me that they're just like, hey, we're not going to market this. Like, and I just don't, I just don't understand. You're taking two of the top dog monsters in a movie and you're not going to market the crap out of it?
Yeah, no. And I mean, I don't know. I respect the idea if they're just trying to really take baby steps and be like, if we're gonna put a teaser out, we're gonna like, or a new poster. Like, we were lucky to get that. I thought it was kind of crazy how we got that Godzilla versus Kong cool big banner with the colors and stuff.
Yeah.
I think that looks amazing, just because it just looks like they look so ferocious on there, and just the text is awesome. And D-Man always jokes about that image. Like, I have to use this image only in my videos over and over. I'm so sick of it, and I'm sitting here like, I still really like that image. But yeah, I'm glad we got a new image, like this picture with aircraft carrier. It's just like, people are questioning it. Aircraft carrier. Okay. How? Okay. They're two, like, however freaking much they weigh, monsters on one aircraft carrier at the same time. And by the way, Aaron did it first, okay?
I did. I had Kong leaping off an aircraft carrier attacking Godzilla. I did that a full year before that image ever came out.
So weird how you almost predicted it or something. But your image is way cooler, in my opinion. I'm not just saying that because you're here. I literally, genuinely like it more, because
it's shocking to me.
Just
it gets
like,
shared
if they,
so often.
I don't know, like if they could have gave you some cheddar and just been like, all right, we're gonna use your image, but like make it like the movie look, like, you know what I mean, like, make it look like how they do in the movie or whatever. Not that they don't, but and it's just Kong coming down with like the two fists, just like, that would be like, it looks more epic. And I agree with D-Man about like Kong's pose in the image is a little weird. He's kind of just like, I don't know, it's weird, but the pose you had for him is way cooler, just because it's more like, it reminds me so much of when Kong jumped onto the T-Rex with the Rock in 2005. That's what it reminds me of, where he just comes out of nowhere and just, like, that's a Kong thing for me, to just like leap from somewhere and like do something. And I like the idea that there's an aircraft carrier there, but they're not like standing on it. It's a classic like in the water Godzilla shot. So I like that better.
See,
it's more like realistic anyway.
I have a theory about that aircraft carrier that I brought up. You know how a lot of people have been going like, well, they had the Argo, which is an enormous version of the B-2 bomber. They're like, what if it's a bigger aircraft carrier or something? And then I started thinking, and the wheels started turning, and I was like, okay, don't they say that there's something going on Skull Island, that all the Titans are drawn to and all this? We know that there's a hollow earth like passageway there where the skull crawlers are in. So what if there's like some kind of meltdown or eruption on the island, and like, let's say after the first act, they're like, okay, the island is going to be destroyed by natural causes. We need to get Kong off the island because he can't, he can't swim on his own to get off the island to make it anywhere near landfall. So what if they built this giant aircraft carrier where they're like, hey, we could use it as a transport to get Kong to another island or another outpost or something. And then as they're traveling, Godzilla attacks the aircraft carrier because he knows Kong is on it, and that's how like they're well, it could be like their second encounter, but that could
Yeah.
be how that goes. Is he attacks that, and that aircraft carrier could be built to it has to carry Kong, so obviously it could hold immense amounts of weight. So like,
Yeah.
and it looks bigger than a normal aircraft carrier. Like looking at an
Yeah.
aircraft carrier, I'm like that thing is like 3 to 4 times the size of what a normal one is.
That's what I approached you on Facebook about, only because I really think that there's a lot of fans that are fans of Kong and Godzilla that aren't actually thinking. They're just like, they'll never hold the weight. They'll never hold the weight. And I'm trying to look at it as like, but what would the MonsterVerse reason be? Because we've got ships that are like Monarch type like carriers, and we basically got the Super X, in the last movie and everything. And it's like, in a way, I guess, did they actually call it Super X ever? Honestly,
Which one?
the big ship and the jet in King of the Monsters. Did they ever like hint that that's the Super X? Like,
No, no,
kind of
they
like
called
coming
that.
back.
I think they called it the Argo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, like it's got to be some kind of reason, and like people are forgetting what I was trying to say a second ago was people are forgetting that the classic Kong story, I mean, at least, I don't know, yeah, in a way, is like they bring him to New York on like a ship or something, and like and in the some of the old films, on old Kong films, he is in a ship, and that one that I think is 74, but you could correct me because you're probably more of a Kong person than I am, but inside that like hole in the ship or whatever, which
Mm-hmm.
one was that? Okay.
76. Yeah, the one I'm watching right now.
He's like, I'm gonna put on some Kong in the background while but yeah, so
No, like
they've done it before.
yeah, and even in King Kong versus Godzilla, they drug him
Yeah,
behind a
exactly. They
ship.
put him on. They tie him to a ship that is, and I think that it only makes sense for that to be brought back, but in kind of a like new, like let's just call it remastered sort of like way. Like, and I highly doubt that they're gonna go the entire Godzilla versus Kong movie and not have a moment where it's like, okay, Kong is out of it and he's being brought over. Like, I feel like it just totally makes sense, and it's a reference to the old stuff. It's even a reference to basically the entire like Kong, just all the old movies with Kong, and it's a reference to, like you said, King Kong versus Godzilla from 1962 in itself, and this is technically like the redo of that, like just years and years later. And it just makes sense. But I am also on D-Man's side of this too, where like that image with the aircraft carrier, most
Mm-hmm.
likely, maybe not even in the movie.
Yeah.
It's a huge possibility. But maybe that shot might not be in the movie, but I still feel like that Kong will be brought over. Like, it's just it just totally lines up and makes sense in my opinion. And if it's not in there, like, obviously I'm not going to be like, well, that's not like the old movies, and so I'm complaining, but like other fans do.
Yeah.
But bringing Kong over is just a classic idea, and like, what better than like Monarch to be the reason, and they have a specific ship that is built to hold, like, they've been dealing with kaiju since pretty much beforehand, but also to the public, like, let's just call it 2014, like, in their timeline. Like, people know that kaiju are a real thing. So Monarch, is known about kaiju for years, and Titans, whatever, but you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
like they've known about monsters for literally so many years, and obviously you would think like they would probably build some sort of ship eventually, and it's probably going to be a thing where in this movie it's like it's finally done, the something something X something ship, and it's like, and it can withhold a huge beast, and it's just like it's a little less believable just because this isn't like a little silverback Kong. This is this Kong, huge, and he's even bigger than he was in Kong Skull Island, which I'm extremely excited about. But yeah, like that's got to be it. Like unless it literally none of that is in the movie, I just don't see how it wouldn't be. But unless Godzilla goes to Skull Island instead, that'd be a cool fight. I'd love that.
And I definitely hope that it is in the movie, like because I know everyone's complaining, and I'm like, yeah, but like if you look at like say a Nimitz aircraft carrier, if you look at that, that is probably only about as long as Godzilla. So like what they're standing on is obviously much bigger than a normal aircraft carrier. But like thinking about that, and I'm like, well, like I thought about that theory, and I'm like, it would make sense if something happened to Skull Island where they had to relocate Kong, and that's how that fight happens. Is Godzilla shows up and like tries to destroy the ship or whatever, and Kong and him fight. Like let's say they get to near where they need to be, and then all of a sudden you just see like the fins like jaws come up, and then the ship gets like hit or whatever, and then a big fight starts between the two of them. He rips a hole in the hull.
I thought of that too, where like, what if just the carrier? What if that shot really is in the movie, and that exact like, what if that's literally Kong's first fist laid on Godzilla in the movie? Like, I would love that, just like because that's teasing the very first moments of their first fight, and that's an awesome idea. If that exact shot is in the movie, I've thought of that too. Like, what if like the ship is just about to crumble a few seconds later, like what it's a huge possibility, but I also am just trying to think of it as like movies really like to make up reasons to use some sort of like around movie reviewers and stuff usually like to call it like some sort of device, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Like, and Monarch having like a big ship that can hold like a couple kaiju, or just maybe it's built for one and maybe it's gonna crumble because Godzilla just stepped on it. It's a huge possibility, and I think the Godzilla community and Kong just need to calm down about it, because it's very like it's silly, but there's so many silly elements to kaiju movies, so it's like you can't try to be like, oh, let's be realistic whenever we're talking about like two giant beasts going head to head that are bigger than buildings, man. Like, you can't like, there's always going to be a little bit of fantasy, if not a lot of fantasy in kaiju films. And the longer I've looked at the image, the more I like it.
No, I
first
love it.
I was like, I told Aaron about it. I'm like, I've barely even looked at it. But then whenever I had looked at it more, I was like, it is kind of cool. But at first I was just like, it just looked like one of those very Photoshop images where like, it just almost even looks like Kong's just looking straight ahead, not even really looking at something else. I don't know. Like, it's just kind of weird. Like, and if it does end up being just a promotional image for the toys and stuff, that would be zero shock because of how it looks. It just doesn't remind me of like, it's from the movie. It just, I don't know what it is, but... And so I'm more leaning on this isn't in the movie, at least this shot. And it could be totally based on a scene in the movie that is this, just not with that shot in it.
Yeah, the way I
look at it from all aspects. But
I look at it like a DVD cover or a comic book cover. It's like it gets the point across, but it's not a direct image from like let's say if I was doing a comic, I wouldn't want to take a panel that I did and make that the cover. I would want to do, if I want to do something from that scene, I would want to make it more epic and all that. And I think that's what they tried to do with the toys, is they're just like, hey, there's this scene where Kong punches Godzilla, which actually, I don't know if you saw, did you see the Warner Brothers, when they had their last convention, where they had the leaked footage, and it was like for 2 seconds. Somebody videotaped it, and there was the silhouette of Godzilla and Kong, and it's so blurry you can hardly make it out. But they are
Yeah.
atop some ship, and Kong is throwing the first punch. And I was like,
Yeah.
so then when I saw that image, I was like, oh, that's part of that scene. But yeah, you're right. That image is way too. There's, it's clearly just like a digital creation. There's
Yeah,
nothing that.
but the monsters, like, and what I was about to say on a positive side of it is like it's it's also given me hope this way too. Like Godzilla and Kong look amazing in it. Like we could talk about Kong's pose all day long, but I mean he's anyway. But it looks really, it's like so well rendered though. Like it looks kind of like a promotional image, but also I'm really just appreciating how much detail they've got on Godzilla's body and stuff like that. He looks exactly like how he did in King of the Monsters, and I'm just like, and some people argue maybe his fins got even bigger, and if they did, then cool, like he's growing some more.
Yeah.
But it's such a strange image where it makes it, the fact of the matter is it makes you look a couple times, and I've kind of like sat and looked at it before, like right when it came out. I wasn't all that hyped. I was just like, I think this is just a toy image or whatever, but it definitely like gives me hope for this one thing that excites me is we, like, a lot of people in the Godzilla community talk about like nighttime scenes in these movies because the CGI isn't like it could be. They would have to do more work to put like Ghidorah in daytime and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Like that would have been cool to see for sure. I would have loved to see his more like, just imagine a scene in the daytime with Ghidorah and he's just super golden and just like it'd be amazing.
And
But
see, I think we were. Uh, I think that we're. What's the word that I'm looking for it? Not. I want to say spoiled because we had the kaiju movies where 90% of the battles were during the daytime, and
right,
like you, but everyone's got to think because they're like, oh, we had a ton of battles during the daytime, and it's like, yeah, but those were all suits. You didn't have to render out CGI to make it look perfect during the daytime. Like there are shots like when Godzilla in 2014 where he like they were all running away from the Muto, which landed on the building, and then they turn around and Godzilla like rises up out of the bay. Like that looks awesome. That looks great. But then the rest of the
yeah,
battles are at night, and it's kind of that Jurassic Park thing. It's like, yes, we can do daytime effects, but they work a lot better when it's night and there's things obscuring the imperfections. So I mean, like I
right.
totally get why they do it because it's not necessarily cheaper, but you can hide things that didn't work too well that keep you from spending more money to try to really perfect it.
Well, like, and what I was trying to say about it was like this: if this is a scene, rather this is an exact shot from the movie or not, but there is a scene based on this, I hope that it really is how it looks and that is in daytime,
Oh
because
yeah.
I think what they're gonna do with this kind of like fourth installment if you want to count Kong Skull Island, but like a third installment for this Monster vs. Godzilla movies. I think each one has learned from its mistakes, and I feel like maybe for the fans they'll give us like a daytime. Like I don't know. I don't see that happening at night. I think it would really be just way. It would just, I don't know. There'd be something more about it if it was even like a sunrise or a sunset. It almost looked like that Comic Con, whatever, the Warner Brothers thing. That almost looked like rather a sunrise or a sunset in the silhouette shot. So I'm thinking, like how cool would that be? Because at the end of King of the Monsters, we got the sunrise coming up and the kaiju bowing and everything. But
Oh yeah.
spoilers, by the way, guys. Like a kind of lighting like that for that would be so epic. Like it would be just amazing because you get so much detail in both of them, and just I think we're gonna get at least one daytime fight. I really hope so.
Yeah, I agree. I like the that ending scene of King of the Monsters. Oh, something I was gonna bring up about that. Have you seen anybody like color correcting King of the Monsters? Like where they go through it and
I
like
actually haven't. I'm assuming there's a few people doing that, huh?
There are a couple people doing it that I've seen on Twitter where they're color correcting it, but they're almost doing the opposite where like people will unmute a Zack Snyder color palette to make it more vibrant. They're doing almost the opposite with Godzilla where they're like, I took off the red from this and made it better. And I'm like, King of the Monsters is that's one reason why it's really appealing to me is because Mike Dougherty was like, color, splashes of color. I want red in this scene. I want
Yeah.
blue in this scene. I want like a ocean foam green.
Yeah, because 2014 was definitely like a Snyder slash a Nolan type of shading
Which
for
is
sure.
fine.
Like,
It was definitely fine for what they were trying to do because they wanted to make it more gritty and grounded. But like when Doherty came in, he gave like this. Like I just remember seeing the trailer and seeing the color palette that was just used in the trailer, and I was like, "This looks amazing!" And I was just
yeah,
like blown away by the Mothra wing reveal, Rodan out of the volcano, the flash of lightning showing the silhouette of Ghidorah, him shooting the fire up into the sky. I'm like this is amazing. Like this is what I want. This has so much vibrancy to it. Like this is so appealing. Like that's like when people are muting those color palettes, I'm like you're missing the point. Like it should be this type of vibrant. There should be some type of color associated with this monster, like because it just makes it more
yeah.
like
There was always a color theme in like the older movies too. Usually, kind of
yeah,
in a way.
yeah, because like whenever you have, anytime they show Ghidorah, it's like an orange yellow, like all the surrounding, like when he's on the volcano and all that, and then when he's flying around in the lightning storm, and there's the yellowish goldish hue, and then when you finally get Godzilla and Ghidorah together, you have the city burning, but it's at night and it's raining, so you have that perfect mix of those two color palettes complementing each other. And I'm like, if you take that away and you mute it, like you're missing the point. Like that's the two colliding. That's and plus that color palette, that gold, orange, and blue just works so well together.
There to me is no better shot. I love a lot of the Godzilla shots, especially him under the water, and stuff like that. But in King of the Monsters, I still just freaking get chills when I put on King of the Monsters, man. Like when it's when they're flying back into the storm, they see the storm coming. Get that shot of the three eyes of Ghidorah, and then he just kind of floats up. The sound effect and everything they used right there was that is like my probably my number one favorite shot of Ghidorah at all, maybe besides the volcano, but I mean like for all the films that he's in. I'm like that is just so powerful looking. Just he's kind of like because the lightning and everything kind of
Mm-hmm.
shows more of him. It just is so freaking nice, and I always love the whole storm effect thing where he brings a storm with him. It just I don't know. I know that was kind of also a reason to not have him in the daytime, but I don't know. It's still really, really cool.
Yeah, I really like the way that they did a lot of the things with the monsters, like things that followed with them, like the storm, Ghidorah and the storm. And I was like, well, I'm like, that only makes sense. He's that powerful, and when he starts flying, like he creates winds that are just powerful enough to create a storm system to cloak him. And I mean, it works really well because it cloaks him.
Ghidorah, you have so much more over Smog. I'm sorry, Hobbit
Oh, he
and Lord of the
does.
Rings fans. Ghidorah is like, obviously, has always been my favorite dragon growing up. He has a little bit more to him. He has three heads, and it's whatever. Um, but I just loved it because this was like, okay, this is like taking Heisei Ghidorah and just making him look so epic. Like in the scale, I remember seeing the teaser where he had the silhouette of Godzilla in the rain and everything, and Ghidorah when they first battle, and just the wingspan on how much bigger he actually is than Godzilla. And Godzilla is freaking huge already.
Yeah,
And you're just like, okay, it's gonna go down really hardcore right here.
yeah.
And Oh my god, that movie gave me everything that I needed for that, and gave me like the dream Ghidorah that I could only literally have dreamed about as a kid, as just the character Ghidorah. I was like, he was always one of my favorites of the Godzilla villains. So when he got him in this, I'm like, yeah, just Doherty, I love you, man. It's perfect. Literally, like that design is like, I don't think I have one thing that I would say, yeah, maybe they tweaked this. Like his design is perfect. Like he looks amazing.
Oh yeah, I agree. I really wouldn't change anything that they did to him, just because they they really, as far as the designs go for the monsters, they killed it with each one. And I know a lot of people
Yeah.
complained about Rodan the most, and I'm like,
Yeah, Rodan's so underrated, and he had such an epic entrance. Oh my
yeah.
good lord.
And like, but everyone complains about it, and they're like, Rodan kind of sucked. And I'm like, I thought he was pretty good. I thought he was pretty good for what he needed to do. Like he served his purpose. He was there as another antagonist, because of course you need a second antagonist who will
I know we'll
become the
never get it, but
friend.
I kind of want a remake of Rodan from 56. Or wait, is that 56? 55, wasn't it?
No, you're right. 56.
Okay, but yeah, Rodan, that original film or whatever, I think that they could do something, even if Godzilla had like a cameo or something, like I feel like a standalone Rodan movie, it would not do well, and that's why they're not going to do it,
Yeah.
but in that same spirit and the way that it was, also love that Doherty had a reference to that original movie with the volcano in general, and I'm like, Doherty, you just mastermind over there, man. It's like, but yeah. Um, Aaron, do you have a recommendation to kind of start closing out the episode? I don't want to put you on the spot, but maybe you've thought of it, maybe you didn't.
Like,
And
right.
this could be anything. Like, I mean, like our recommendations are like life, just inspiration, advice, a movie. It literally can be as down to the simplest. Like, you want to recommend a game, or like it could literally be anything. And that's how we kind of been doing it.
Well, now that I'm thinking
I will
about
hit
it,
you with one first while you think about it. Go follow Aaron Dwyer and go check out his art. That's my recommendation. It's a cheap one in a way because he's my guest, but you know what? The dude is literally an artist. I was gonna say the dude's an artist. He's an artist, but no, like, dude, I still need to get your freaking posters framed, but I cannot wait to do it because they're so good and they're like everything that, well, everything I wanted anyway. Just in like it's just gonna be fun to glance over to my wall and see them because obviously there is like an attachment with our friendship that we created, but also like they're just that good. And I know you have like a color guy too, and not discredit him. I forgot his name honestly.
Russ, Russ Cassidy.
Um, but yeah, like it is definitely he's a great artist. Go check him out, guys. Link in the description to his Twitter and like the Geek Tavern podcast. Definitely do not miss out on checking out. Even if you're not a Godzilla fan, just or a Star Wars fan or whatever, just like I don't know, like he's a really good drawer. And you know, one thing I forgot to ask you at the beginning of this, which would have been a good entrance, but when did you start drawing? Because I don't remember. I don't remember what age you said that you like. What was your first interest in like? Okay, I'm gonna draw and get good at this.
See, like I started like drawing when I was like 4, but it never was. It was more of just like a hobby. Like I just enjoyed doing it. It never was a. I never thought of it as like a how could I make this a career type of thing
Yeah,
until I went to my first Comic Con, and then I was like, hey, I was like, I probably could do this as a career. So like, it's only been the past couple of years that I've really been taking it seriously and focusing on, doing sequential drawings, having a portfolio at the ready anytime I go to a convention, which God only knows that might be a couple years from now. So that gives me plenty of time to finish up a good portfolio
I mean,
for the next
you've
time.
built what you've built so far and got like the attention that you've got, and it's amazing just to see.
Yeah, I mean, like and the craziest thing is, if I could if I could just do Godzilla stuff, like the biggest goal that I have is to do what Matt Frank does. If I could reach his level and just get jobs doing IDW Godzilla, doing Legendary Comics or Warner Brothers Comics Godzilla, like if I could just work on a Godzilla book or do like art for a DVD or something, I would be absolutely ecstatic. Like
Yeah.
I would just go
I think
nuts.
you're meant to do something like that. I think there's like something like a comic or like just like, and I know it would take a lot of like just focusing on that thing and just trying not to like, and that's a whole other podcast.
Oh yeah.
But just the whole focus thing, and like that's why, you know, I've tried to like, I love this podcast, but I've really tried to pay attention a lot on my main channel just because I'm like, if I don't like really put work in this one thing, it's like you're just kind of like, if you, because I've done it before where I have like 50 projects and like I give a few percent here, a few percent here of work. It's like if you just hone in on one thing, it's like it can just be a whole lot better. At least for like what I like to do and stuff like a lot of people work differently too. And I always have to think about that. But it's all about that energy, and sometimes it's hard to wake up and it's like, you know what I mean? It's like it's hard to wake up and always have the drive for certain things.
Oh yeah,
But
like this whole past year, like from March till now, I think I probably lost almost 40 pounds because like I got bored pretty quickly, like when businesses shut down and everything, and I just started like working out again and finally got myself back to where I was 5 years ago. But I've been like trying to do that and juggle like art and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, you know, this year has been good because I needed that little bit of a break to get myself physically and mentally back to where I needed to
yeah,
be to focus on doing my art the right way. Like, I don't know. It was as crappy as the year has been. I feel like it was kind of a blessing in disguise for me, at least, to where
yeah,
I was able to finally get myself back on track to what I was attempting to do
yeah. I
in the
definitely
first
need to
place.
too. I need to get back in the gym and stuff. It's been very like I literally was starting to get back into the gym right before COVID hit, and I was like, oh, like
Yeah.
it was like the universe was telling me, nope, you're just gonna get fatter. Like it, yeah, because I've definitely gained a lot of weight over the past couple of years, and it just like I still think I'm a healthy weight, but I can just tell. Like I get out of breath and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I shouldn't be like this. Like
Yeah,
I'm just like I can tell I shouldn't be like this, man. Like it
like
just
right
you
now,
know.
I think I'm in some of the best shape that I've ever been in because like now I can go jog 2 miles like consistent straight through, and I have never been able to do that in my entire
Yeah,
life.
that's
So I'm
definitely
like,
something I can't do at all.
so like
But yeah,
I'm like, hey, you know,
I
I
respect
can't
anybody that's
complain.
athletically in shape.
I'd like to be like Captain America shape. That would be nice, but that may take a couple of years.
Well, you are a Cap fan, and you do have
Oh,
photos of yourself as Cap. So
I
you still
do,
have you still got a beard right now.
I do. I still do have my
All
beard.
right,
I
guys. See,
haven't.
he's another bearded bro right there. We got him. There you go. Check him out. No, I was just because I remember seeing. I think you posted today or something or yesterday some old photos where you didn't have a beard, and I had to do a double take. I'm like, wait a second, what? Like, I was
Oh,
like,
my Terminator,
beardless Aaron. Never seen it.
my Terminator cosplay that my buddies and I did 2 years ago. Yeah, because I had to. I was like, well, I was like, do I half-ass this and I like keep a shortened beard? I was like, or do I go all out and shave it like Arnie? And I was like, you know what? I'll shave it because my buddy shaved his too when he went as the T1000, and he's like, I'm gonna shave mine. I'm like, well, I'll shave mine too. And then when I did it, now I see the pictures and I'm like, ah, man, I'm like, I can't. It's like I could never do that again. Like back then too, I still had like weight on me, so like, but whenever I gain weight, my face gets rounder, and if I don't have a beard, it just looks weird. So like
Yeah, no, I'm the same way.
like if
I
I have
look
a
back at
thinner
old videos of
face,
me with a big beard and a skinnier face. I'm like, that looks so much better because the beard fills in more. You know, like you when your face stretches out more, it's like the beard looks worse.
yeah,
So it just is kind of like, I hate that, but it is what it is.
yeah, that's always been the hardest part. But yeah, I mean, it's been a good. You know what? That might be my recommendation. That might just be my life recommendation. Is don't forget to take time to do things. How do I want to word this? Don't forget to take the time to make yourself happy, to better yourself to the point where you can be happy. Like like if you feel better after you exercise or something, even if it's just for like 20 minutes, you go for a walk and you come back in and you feel like accomplished. Like don't forget to do those things. Just enjoy just enjoy feeling great. I guess
Yeah,
is
because
the best
feeling
thing.
great really goes into everything, dude. Like, I've noticed if I have little sleep or whatever, I have less passion for editing videos, and I'm just a constant, like, I got something to film, something to edit, and, like, something going into the chamber. And it's just like, I gotta feel better, you know? It is what it is, and, like, I'm, I don't know, I'm probably the most unhealthy I've been in a while, and I have, like, I have that drive. It's in my mind. It's ready to go. It's like I want to get in better shape. Like me and Ashley took a walk yesterday, and we haven't walked in like so long. And we live in an area that's just like it's fine to walk around here. Like it's not like a big thing. It's not a big deal. So it's
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's and afterwards, I think we did feel better. We like went walked to a gas station, bought water, even though I really wanted a soda. You know what I mean? Like
Oh
I
yeah.
really wanted to buy a soda there, but then I was just like, just get yourself a water, and it was a flavored water, but it still was water. So I was like, there's so many habits I need to break, but it's just like he said, it's all about that like once you get yourself to that happy point, it's like there's so much like that's what I've always discovered when I have been at a really healthy state because I've done the whole like drop sodas and drop all that stuff many times through my life. Like I have stopped and then like I'll just let go and be unhealthy again. It just happens. You just kind of you keep going back to bad habits. But I've noticed like so much better. I'm better at everything that I do when I'm in like a healthy state because body and mind I've always said it like I've said it on the podcast, I've said it like on my channel and stuff like live streams and all that stuff like I that stuff matters, like it comes first,
Oh,
and the
definitely.
family and all that should come first and stuff too. It's just like it's so easy to hit that grind and just never stop, but like I'll find myself getting up a little bit too early, maybe on the 7 hour mark of sleep or something. And I'm like, I got to edit this video. And it's just like weighing on my mind. When if I just put in a couple more hours of sleep and then did it, I would like feel 100% better. But I'm choosing to be like, work comes first versus body. And that's not how it should be. But it's really hard to hit that all the time. And we're all not perfect. We do our thing. And it's so hard to hit that, but I think once you get into the groove of healthy habits, it just becomes naturally, and I still have to work on that. But yeah, that's definitely a great recommendation.
Yeah, I mean, like me personally, I have noticed a huge difference after I started to drop weight, and then I started to, get
You
out and
probably feel
walk and
lighter,
run.
like you feel okay to get up in the day and stuff like that too, and
Yeah,
it just
like when I wake up, like when I used to wake up, like in let's say January or February, I'd wake up and I'd be like, man, I need like 6 cups of coffee or something to get me going. Now I can wake up and be like, I need absolutely nothing, and then I'm just
yeah.
ready to go. Like and that the whole body plays into the mind because like once you lose weight and you're at like a goal that you reached mentally, your whole state just goes skyward.
Yeah,
and,
definitely.
and I mean like
Well,
I
Aaron, is there anything else you want to say, like some plugs, some things of that nature?
I would just say check out Geek Tavern podcast if you got free time. We're on a new platform now I'll have that link in the description. I'm trying to I'm trying for the life of me to remember the name of it, and I can't. But it'll be in the description. But it's a platform now. We're now on a free platform that has every other platform under it. So like we upload it to this platform and it goes to iTunes, all sorts of different platforms that you can
Oh,
download
Anchor?
and listen. Yes, that's it. I knew it
Yeah,
started with
that's
an
what
A.
we use. I was like,
I
okay,
knew
wait a
it.
second. And then I realized what you were even talking about, and I was like, okay, yeah, because we're on iTunes, Spotify, and all that, and that is a segue, guys. We're on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, all that. Uh, but continue what you were saying.
That's exactly what. As soon as you said that, I'm like, yes. I'm like, that was it, Anchor. But
I love Anchor, man. It like the first day, I think maybe by like day 2 we were on Spotify using it. I'm like, this is amazing.
yeah,
Like I'd never heard of it, and I actually heard of it from Good Mythical Mornings podcast, Ear Biscuits. Like they plugged it as like one of their advertisement things. Like if you have a podcast and you're just starting out, I literally was like, I do. I just started, and then like they continued like go to Anchor.fm, and like I knew that if Rhett and Link were plugging it, I was like, okay, this has got to be something good.
yeah.
And so I found out about Anchor literally from like another podcast. I was like, this is amazing.
Oh, the other thing I wanted to say was I know you saw it, but for anyone else listening, I have a new Godzilla versus Kong piece coming out. It all I have right now is the line work done, but it's been sent to the colorist, and I should have it back by the weekend. So be on the
Awesome. I
lookout for
cannot wait.
that. That's gonna have that's the piece that has all the toy monsters in it. It has Warbat and the new Skullcrawler and all that.
That's going to be epic. Absolutely. I can't wait to see the colored version for sure.
Oh, me either. I gave the colorist. I don't want to spoil it too much, but I gave her I gave her a certain color palette that I liked for her to work from, and she was like, "All right." She goes, "Well, this is going to be interesting," and I'm like, "Yes, it will." I'm like, "I can't wait to see what it turns out like."
Nice. Well, thank you guys for listening. Definitely, all the plugs we've left them several times. Check them out in the description. Don't forget to, subscribe to the podcast if you haven't on YouTube. Give us a listen on all that jazz. And, yeah, go follow Kaiju Groupie on Twitter. There you go. Kaiju Groupie 84. There you go. And you guys, we'll be talking to you. We will be talking to you next time.